Episodes 10 and 11 of The Bad Batch Season 3 are here, so let's break them down. The first episode, Identity Crisis, I thought this was a great episode. I thought the next one was too. But Identity Crisis, the title of the episode, we learn is focused on Imri. The episode really gives us two major themes, and that is that the Empire is hunting down Force-sensitive children, and at the same time, Imri is faced with this dilemma of what is she going to do because the Empire is chasing down Force-sensitive children. So we do get a little bit of Cad Bane. He's collecting a bounty on this Force-sensitive, almost like a gerbil or cat-like creature. This season has done great on the creatures. This episode threw in a little Force-sensitive creature. Real sad when they capture the kid. But we do get a little bit of Cad Bane, maybe just to get the fans excited. I don't know. He doesn't play a huge role quite yet, but he makes an appearance. The meat of this story, though, is where Imri decides she wants to take on Nala Se's role with this project, so Project Necromancer, and she asks Professor Hemlock or Dr. Hemlock if she can have that role. She gets it, she gets the additional responsibilities that come with it, and she gets to go into the vault where she learns what the Empire is actually doing, and that is taking this blood from these high midichlorian count children. Imri's story has been somewhat interesting because it almost doesn't make sense that she's bad, right? That she is doing all these things for the Empire. And so in this episode, those walls kind of start to crumble for her. She takes objection to the fact that it's just children that they are doing these tests on. And she ends up getting to talk to Nala Se at one point in this episode, in which Nala Se lets her know, you have a choice to make. What choice are you going to make? So we go through the episode. She's building relationships with these kids, which Hemlock specifically told her not to do. They're just test subjects. But by the end of it, we see that she is probably not on the side of all this testing by the fact that she decides to build relationships. She gives the child, I think her name was Eva maybe, she gives her a little doll because she's sad. And so we see that this is the choice she's probably making. She is not going to go along with Project Necromancer through the long haul of this season. I think that's the main groundwork that this episode laid out. One other big thing we see in this episode is Grand Moff Tarkin ends up calling Hemlock and letting him know that he's spending way too much money on this project, and if there are not deliverables from this project, then it's going to end pretty bad for him. That does lend us to the secrecy of this project, though, that Tarkin only knows that he's spending a whole lot of money on it. It's classified. He can't know anything else outside of that. So the Emperor is keeping this very, very, very under wraps. The episode closes just to kind of tie us into the next one. We see that clone operative that we're still not sure who he is. He is closing in on the Bad Batch, and so the episode ends with him. Essentially, we know he's going to go to Pabu. So that's where Identity Crisis ends, and then we shift over into episode 11, Point of No Return. I loved this episode. Action-packed. Pretty emotional, little bit predictable by the time we get to the end of it, but I still thought it was very good. So like we saw from the end of the previous episode, this operative is closing in on the Bad Batch. He knows they're on Pabu, so we see him sneaking around and getting to Pabu. He's got his eyes on the Bad Batch. He's watching them. The main deal, though, is he has to keep Omega safe, but he's told he can get rid of the other clones. So while he's doing this, the Bad Batch and Omega, they are getting ready to leave Pabu because they know they are not as safe as they think. We learned that from Asajj Ventress a couple episodes back now. So as they are getting ready to leave, this operative makes his attack. The Empire shows up. So he blows up the Marauder. The Bad Batch do not have a ship anymore. It hurts Wrecker, so it takes Wrecker out of the game. Since they don't have a ship, Hunter and Crosshair decide they're going to have to steal one of the clone gunships, which was super cool to see. So while Hunter is stealing a clone gunship, the operative actually shoots it down, so goes down in the water. Hunter's with it, so he's out. He's okay, but he's out of the fight for the moment. So that just leaves Omega and Crosshair. Unfortunately, the Empire has just closed in on them. They've taken over the island. They're burning down the houses. They're destroying the place. Omega's not happy about that, so she comes up with the idea that she is going to have to surrender to the Empire for them to be able to move to the next step of their plan, which is getting to Tantus. It was a little predictable because they kind of pegged this story into there is no return at this point. I mean, it's the title of the episode. So Omega has to give herself up. They take her and leave, but the plan is that Crosshair is going to shoot a tracker onto their ship, but he gets kind of caught up with some stormtroopers. He misses the shot. The ship's gone before he can make it. So Omega's gone, and as far as we know, there's no tracker for them to find her. So it will be interesting to see. We only have a few more episodes from this point going forward. I think next week is episode 12, and there's either 15 or 16 episodes. I think it's 15. Just a handful more to wrap this story up. Crosshair, Wrecker, and Hunter are going to have to get to Tantus. I have an idea maybe that Omega will potentially send them a beacon or something from Tantus because she is quite resourceful. Would not be surprised at all if Emery ends up helping her since she is going to be the one over this project when Omega gets there. The ball is kind of starting to roll. We kind of see how all this is going to culminate on Tantus, I believe. I think we're going to see a clone uprising, which everyone has kind of thought from the get-go. So it was 2 great episodes. I enjoyed them. I love all the Tantus stuff. And then obviously just an action-packed episode like Point of No Return. Nothing to complain about there. Let me know what you thought about these 2 episodes in the comments, and I'll catch you next time.